Welcome to Season 10 of the More Than Sunday podcast. I'm Rohini Drake, your host. And in this season, which we've been calling Love Served Here, we've been visiting with some of your favorite local restaurants as they've been sharing stories on how they use food to bring people together. As they've shared some of their tips and tricks, we've learned lots about how we can apply those lessons to our own lives and our own spaces. In this episode, we visited with Dr. Porshia, Haymon, and Laura Beth Lopez of Café Momentum in Dallas. And as Pastor Clayton and I had a conversation with them, and they shared about the work that Café Momentum does, I was moved several times just to hear the powerful stories of how they're actively changing the lives of youth in Dallas. I hope that you enjoy this conversation, and we'll share more about how you might be able to get involved in their mission. Well, again, I just wanted to thank y'all both for inviting us into this space and sharing more about Café Momentum. I know a lot of our listeners I was sharing with y'all, our congregation, some of them may not know about Café Momentum and maybe even how it started and was founded. So could y'all share a little bit more about the mission and exactly what Café Momentum does to make it special?
Sure. So our CEO, founder, head chef, Chad Hauser, years ago, more than 10 years ago, was voluntold, is what he calls it. Who was it, though?
Dallas County.
Dallas County. And to volunteer him to go in and teach youth in a juvenile detention facility how to make ice cream, because there was a competition. Was that at the state?
At the farmer's market.
At the farmer's market. I was about to say the state fair. At the farmer's market. And he was teaching them how to make ice cream so they could go and participate in this competition. And one of the youth won, one of the young men won. And so as they were finishing, he's talking to Chad and is asking, where should I get a job whenever I get out? Like at Wendy's or McDonald's, whatever it was. And Chad said, the first place that hires you, right? That's where you go. But then as Chad was on his way home, he was overcome just with the reality of the situation and that the impact that being justice involved has on our youth here in Dallas is that youth might not even get a job there, right? That the opportunities are just not there for youth who have been impacted by the justice system. And so if you ever see our documentary, there's a line in there where he says, I had to make a decision. Like I could either keep living with the things the way they were, or I could choose to do something about it, choose to do something different. And so he, at that time, was head chef at Parigi's and sold his shares in Parigi's. I feel like got a second mortgage on his house, did all this stuff, and began Café Momentum. That was his answer to the problem.
Yeah. I mean, it started as doing pop-ups, right? Not necessarily knowing that this would become a long-term thing. But the more he got involved in it, the more he learned about these young people, the more he was like, no, this should be a consistent thing. And over the years, that's what it's become. It's been an opportunity to give young people a shot. Like these young people are in their circumstances, in these situations, not necessarily because of something they have chosen, right? They were born in a certain set of circumstances that kind of led to this. And we can't undo that. But what we can do and what Café Momentum serves is as an opportunity to change that trajectory. What do we do moving forward? Like, how do we give you that chance that every young person deserves, right? Currently, we've got a really big thing going, talking about every young person deserves to dream. And we believe that wholeheartedly, right? You don't get to dream just because your parents A, B, and C, or because you were born in this neck of the woods, right? Every young person deserves to dream. And here they get to.
So when Café Momentum first started, I imagine it didn't start with as many robust services as you offer now. So can you say more about, I guess, currently what is offered to a youth that is part of the programs here at Café Momentum?
So that's another thing that Chad and I actually were just talking about like 2 weeks ago. Something we pride ourselves on here is that everything you see programmatically here is because we 100% listen to our youth. So a lot of times you'll find even with people who have the best of intentions and the warmest hearts, they give what they want to give. And sometimes it's not what's actually needed. And so our youth come to us, and what we found originally was that school was the first time where they were made to feel unwanted, unloved, not good enough. And so part of our program, you have to be either enrolled in school and actively participating attendance wise, as well as making progress towards graduation, or have already graduated. And it's kind of like a no pass, no play situation. And a lot of our youth wouldn't last in the program because they wouldn't go to school. So we built a school. And because it was one of those, well, if we're going to require this, and they're saying this is something I just can't quite make it happen, it's not working for me, then how do we make it work for you so that you can actually come here and participate in everything else that we have to offer? Another part is where we're located right now and where we'll eventually be located. We provide bus passes so that the youth can come to work and get here on time. And so we have to be somewhere where the train passes and that it's easy to get to. And so a lot of people ask, like, why we're downtown. That's why. Like, why are you only open on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Because our youth are in school. So every single thing that we've put in place is because we're really trying to make sure that the obstacles that have traditionally been in the way of our youth succeeding are removed.
So to kind of elaborate on that about the services provided, again, it is based on listening to our young people. One of my favorite pieces of what we offer is our mental health services that we provide. Everyone knows that young people would benefit from mental health services, but what not everybody may think about is that for a lot of our young people, especially like justice involved young people, there's this negative connotation to mental health services, right? Whenever mental health services have been involved in their life, it's been in a punitive sense. It's because CPS is involved. It's because I got in trouble at school. It's because I'm in detention, and so they don't want to do it. But what we try to do here is help them understand what it means to be mentally healthy. Right? We're not talking about mental illness. We don't do labels. We don't do diagnosis. There's enough of that happening in other places. But it's about, how do I exist? How do I function well? And understanding that how you're feeling isn't how you have to feel, right? A lot of our young people experience anxiety for a vast amount of reasons, but helping them to get past that and understand that so that they can function at work. Like, again, we want them to go to school. We want them to work. But if I'm overcome with anxiety every morning, how can I do any of those? And so we provide mental health services for our young people, for their families if they're willing to come in different formats, whether that's individual, we have group, we have partnerships with other people. Like on Saturdays, we have a boys group because sometimes guys just want to talk about guy stuff, right? And they don't want to talk about that with me. So we provide that. We also, another huge component is our case management. So our young people have 24/7 access to their case managers, which for some people could seem like, oh my gosh, that's overwhelming. But really, it's a young person knowing that I always have someone that I can call if I need to call them. It's not like they're always calling at 2 a.m. If they are, we're answering because they need something, right? But these case managers are helping our young people learn how to navigate resources. A lot of them got into their situations because of a lack of some resource. And rather than us just continuing to give them that resource, we want them to know how to find that resource, how to navigate what's out there for them so that they're not 100% dependent on somebody else doing that for them. And so we kind of look at what we're doing, 4 pillars. We've got education, we've got mental health services, we've got our case management, and then the workforce development here in the restaurant. And it's our belief that if we can do all of those things and wrap around our young people and be the positive people that they need, plus these components, that we're doing a great job of setting them up for whatever happens after they leave here.
So what does the workforce development look like here at the restaurant? Yes.
So that is all of the different stations. So each youth, we have 4 tiers of success. They start off on tier 1. And as they move up through the tiers, they get an actual raise. But they also move through each station of the restaurant. So they will at some point be a busser, a server, a host, dish, sautés, like work on the line. They have to do all of the different roles and responsibilities within the restaurant industry. Even though we know that many of them will not end up in the hospitality industry, they don't want to be chefs. It's the life skills that they learn here that really are going to help them in whatever kind of job or even in their relationships once they leave here. So learning how to work as a team, being on time, appropriate communication in the workplace, learning how to really have, appropriate relationships, and learning that how to have a trustworthy relationship with adults. Most of our youth did not grow up with those kinds of examples. And so here it's us being consistent, showing up and honoring our word. All of those little things that we do here as we're working together in a restaurant environment, which can be hectic. It can be stressful. It's busy and you drop something. How do you handle it? Like, what do you do in this moment? Rather than having an emotional reaction, you pause and you respond. And so just taking all of those baby steps and then making it a plan and a way to move forward and a way to actually move in the world. I feel like everybody should have to work in a restaurant at some point. Like, it teaches you so much, not only about yourself, about other people, all the things. And it truly does teach you how to pause, to take a beat. Like,
yeah. I mean, what Laura Beth said, like, so they are learning restaurant specific skills, but it's going a step beyond that, right? So when a young person leaves here, we do want them prepared and so that they can go into a fine dining restaurant and confidently apply for a job as a host or a server. But more than that, we want them to confidently be able to engage with different people. The people that come into our restaurant are not typically the people that our young people are seeing in their community. And it's an opportunity for them to say, wait, I can have a conversation with this person just because they don't look like me or they're not from where I'm from. I can talk to them like I am no lesser. And so it's teaching all of these skills through the use of a restaurant. One of the things you mentioned, dropping a dish, but also making something and being proud of it. We had a young man yesterday who, on his own, made his first lemon pound cake. And guys, I walk in the door and he's like, Dr. P, come here, taste this. And to see him be so excited and proud of something that he had created. And then I got to also enjoy some cake. So everybody won in the situation.
I was walking out the door to go across the street and come right back. And he was like, Miss LB. And so I went over there and he was like, if it's not good, you can tell me. But I mean, it was good.
Yeah,
like it was really good. He's like, it's the first one I've ever made. And he was and he did it all by himself, like no guidance. He just went back there. He was like, I found this recipe online and he followed it and he did it. And those are like wins, huge wins. And literally, like yesterday, I was like, I'm a little teary-eyed. It was awesome. And those are the moments, this same youth, his family came in and he prepared their meal from start to finish because he was on the line at that time in the kitchen. And to see him walk out and like take this dish out to his mom, I was just like, oh my God.
So, I mean, y'all created such a special place. And a story like that has to make it all worthwhile. Are there other moments for you that you just go, yes, this is why I do this, the impact that you see on the life of a young person? Are there those moments where you just absolutely, you go, this is why I do what I do?
Yeah. I don't know. I could do a list of them.
Right. There are so many.
Yeah. And I mean, before I answer the question of like, are there moments that like, this is why I do it? Like, this job's hard. But what does keep us like dug into this are those moments. It's the moment of a young person. I got one. So prior to being here, I worked at a juvenile detention facility. And there's a young man that I knew there. And I'll never forget, he had to take this STAR exam. And he was like, this is dumb. I don't want to do it. I'm just going to write my name because I'm never going to pass. I'm never going to graduate. School's not for me. Well, I later re-encounter him here in our program here because I had left and I was now working here. He's enrolled in our school and he graduated valedictorian. And he talked about not just being the first in his immediate family, the first in his family, the first in his network of people to graduate from high school. And it's like, that's why we do this, because now that young man has graduated and is an example and will tell other people in his family, like his younger siblings, like, you can actually graduate high school. It's a thing. It's possible. Right. And so you remember those moments, but it's also just every time our youth come in and give us a hug, like every time they just show up, because they have lots of reasons to not show up, but they do. They show up with a smile and are willing to work. And it's like, what do I have to complain about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I left all of the comfort that a life can have. How can I be grumpy about work? Right. And then I think also just seeing our young people grow and evolve. Like a lot of them we get when they're 16, and then you look up and you're like, how are you 21? How are you enrolled in college and being a mother? And
I was totally thinking of
how are you doing this?
we have a youth who finished our program and now she's a Momentum ambassador. So she works with our national team and she travels and works in like the new markets that we're opening and stuff like that to bring awareness. That's also part of our conversation about juvenile justice reform and doing all of that work. And she talks about growing up, how she didn't have a good home life, like relationship with her mom. She's now a mother and she reads to her baby every night and she does all these things. So it's like breaking that cycle of something she didn't receive and changing now, like that ripple effect, changing the trajectory, not only of her life, but her children, like her future partner, all of those things. Because she talks about when she came here and for the first time she felt love that she had wanted her entire life and never got.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of stuff. Like it's just.
And I mean, I think to your point about like seeing her not just change her life, but knowing that she's changing the lives of her children because she has learned something. She's been exposed to something that she might not have otherwise been exposed to or learned. She talks about her relationship. I just heard Jordan, which made me think about it. One of our chefs, and she talks about for the first time, like being able to talk to a man and get the advice that a father or a big brother would give, and how that impacted her ability to engage in healthy relationships moving forward. You know, we just think about how without that guidance, what could have continued to happen in her life.
So it feels like the investments that you're making here in the lives of the youth, like it isn't just for the individual, that it is impacting their families. Like this impact here will be felt for generations to come. And so I know the work is hard. And I applaud you both. Like this is a special person that does the work here, but I do know that there's so much hope and inspiration in the results that you see and the lives transformed and impacted. And so I know that people listening will want to know, how can I get involved? Like maybe I can't come down here and teach a class. Maybe I can't do this, but I know that there will be people that say, I believe in this and I want to do something about it. So what is the best way for people to get involved?
Come to dinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, dining in a restaurant communicates to our young people that there are people who believe in them, because you could have dined anywhere else, but you chose to come here. So every night that you sit and you order a meal, you are telling them you believe in them. You're also giving them practice to work on their skills, right? Because they want to show off. He wants to make his pound cake for you guys, you know what I mean? And also, let's be honest, you dining here helps fund the program. So dining for sure. And then
That was the biggest one. Also, I mean, we do have special events coming to those. Like, so we have Sunday suppers once a month. It's live music, a 3-course meal, all that good stuff. It's a lot of fun. And it gives the youth, it's a different kind of environment and atmosphere than just a traditional dinner service. It's a little bit more lively, all that good stuff. It's fun. And it's gives them also the opportunity to interact in a less direct way, because you're not actually waiting on tables, but you're learning all of these subtleties to interacting with people. And so it's just a different way to kind of reach the same end goal. We do have some, I always say this like with some volunteer opportunities, but it's mostly in the classroom. So it's like tutoring with Miss Mary and Miss Nadashia. So we do have in Café Momentum Academy a full-time teacher as well as a teacher / educational director. And they can't do it all. So a lot of times our youth, they are really behind in school. Some of them haven't been in school for 3 years or longer. And it takes a lot of one-on-one instruction. And so we have a tutor, like one Sunday supper a year. It's usually in August, where all the tutors come, like we invite them. And it's amazing to see them all and like how the youth interact with them, like, because they know, I mean, they sit down and they're one-on-one with them, getting through the stuff that nobody else took the time or had the patience to get them through before.
So no, yeah, I think tutoring is a great one. And then there are like the one-offs. Laura Beth mentioned earlier that we work our youth through the tiers of success. And so a part of that is that they are developing other skills. One of those is learning how to interview. And so we do mock interviews. So, I mean, if someone who's like, really, I want to actively do something, that's not an everyday thing. There are certain dates, but if maybe they work in HR and they're like, hey, I interview people all the time, that's a great way to give to our youth. That doesn't cost you anything, but like it's your time. So that's a wonderful way to get involved. We also try to provide resources to our young people. And so sometimes we have little groups who want to donate things, right? Like useful items for any young person. We've had people give like backpacks or
personal hygiene.
Yeah. So
something down in the community services center, that's where we have our mental health services as well as the high school. We have lockers that are stocked with dish detergent, laundry detergent, all manner of personal hygiene products. Because when you think about that, when you go to the grocery store and it's like that time that you have to get toilet paper, toothpaste, all those things, it's 3 times more than it ever is. And those are the things that kind of push them over out of their budget. Diapers, formula, because we do have young parents as well. So we just have all of that stuff down there so that they can just come and grab it. And a lot of times they feel shame asking for things. And so they don't have to ask. Like they already know it's for them. Like they just come down and you'll see young men walking out with tampons, pads. And you're like, I mean, I know it's not for you, but like their sister needs it, their mom needs it, their whoever. So like they just come by, swing by. And I think it gives them an opportunity to, oh man, I can't get the word out. So many times they're dehumanized. And so it's just an opportunity to feel like they have a right to resources.
So what do you see for the future as you look down the road? Because you mentioned other locations and things. What is the future for Café Momentum?
Well, one big thing that we have for the Dallas location is we are creating a flagship. We're going to move, but don't worry, not too far. So we're going to move to the Meadows campus, and this will provide an opportunity for us to surround ourselves with over 30 nonprofits. We recognize, though we want to, we cannot do everything for our young people. But what we can do is connect with other organizations who are doing great work. And having them like right there will allow us easier access to them. And so we're going to move there to be closer to them. And also we get to redo the space, which a lot of people are excited about.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be in the Wilson Historic District. So it's at Live Oak and Oak. This is a retrofitted restaurant, obviously. Like, it used to be a hamburger joint.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all you can eat something.
Yeah. So we've just outgrown it. We have right now about 45 youth in our program. And so you can imagine, and last Thursday, we had them all here, and it was like we're climbing over each other, right? It's a great problem to have. I will take it any day. But we just need more space. And as we have been scaling, so we have opened in Pittsburgh. So we do have a national expansion team. We have opened in Pittsburgh. We will open in Atlanta. I think it was originally October. I think it might be December of this year. Denver is next year. Exploration happening in Houston, Baltimore. There's one more that I'm missing right now. And so we're just starting to find those markets where we're needed. And something else we do with our expansion team, so I actually serve as support for events and sometimes marketing with our expansion team. We go into markets where we might not open up a Café Momentum, but where there is a need for services for justice-involved youth, and we just teach them the model. And because that's Chad's whole thing. No gatekeeping. We don't care if somebody wants to just take this entire model, recreate it, and do their thing, and it's whatever they want to call it. If it gets the job done, it gets the job done. Because ultimately, what he always says is that we're putting ourselves out of business on purpose, because if we keep doing this right, the system will change and programs like ours won't be necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Like, we're getting to grow here, but we're also getting to grow nationally. It's an opportunity to work with more young people, to provide them with the services that they deserve. And I think we'll keep figuring out ways to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And then the flagship will become this hub where not only Café Momentums that are opening will come to train. It'll be a state-of-the-art facility, which right now, so the CSC and all that's across the street underneath in the tunnels underneath Thanksgiving Square. In the new flagship, the community services center, the high school, the administrative offices will be upstairs and the restaurant will be downstairs. It will be an open concept. But also we will be able to bring in other entities. We give tours and talks. I can't tell y'all. All the time. And groups and organizations that want to replicate or try something. And so they'll be able to come to the flagship and train.
Yeah.
Well, it's just really encouraging to hear that first of all, there is no gatekeeping. Like, this works here, so it can work other places. So let's let it work, because it's not about this, it's about the kids, the youth that are being impacted. And so it's just encouraging to hear that organizations are doing that and sharing and wanting for better everywhere that they can be. One of the things you've mentioned when we've talked a little bit before was just even partnerships within the local areas that you've established and grown and cultivated. So I'm wondering if you would share, as we're talking about building community and around food, is that you've got this beautiful little
Yes.
set
Yes. So this is from Damascus Farm. So we are a seasonal, locally sourced, casual fine dining, new American cuisine, all of those things. And so we work with, we get our beef comes from 44 farms. So like our strip steak is from 44 farms. We get a lot of our produce from Damascus farms, Profound Microgreens, microfarms. We do also have a partnership with Bonton Farms, which is a big deal. And we just try to really keep it in the family, in the community, and get things from local farmers, get things from local purveyors. And so you'll see people will walk in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays doing their deliveries, and it's just one box of things. And they'll come in, drop it off. And so today we got peaches. I don't remember from who, but we try to keep it really local, and so it's fresh. It's everything that's in season. And our chefs, y'all, are insanely incredible. They are amazing. The stuff they can do and then teach youth how to do, blows my mind.
Yeah. And it offers an additional layer of education to our young people too, right? Like, teaching them about what's in season, like understanding what's healthy to have now. Because we also love the idea of them growing, or like we do a lot of give back at local farms. And in addition to that, it's talking to them about how a community can take care of itself, right? If we all work together, like, we can do this. We don't necessarily have to go everywhere else. We can figure out how to support each other right here.
And our chef de cuisine takes the youth. We have 2 plots in Deep Ellum Urban Gardens. And so he grows, it's typically tomatoes, I want to say carrots, some greens. But he takes the youth out there and they farm it. So learning seed to table, like how to do all of that, because also food scarcity, food deserts, those are a real thing in Dallas. And for them to learn that if they wanted to, they could.
Yeah.
Grow
and
their own
the beauty
food.
of them putting their hands in dirt.
Period.
Right? Like,
yes.
The understanding the concept of growth and nourishment, because that's a bigger thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then everything doesn't come already made. Sometimes you have to
Processed
be patient.
and packaged.
Yeah. So it's always teaching the underlying skill.
It's beautiful. The whole mission here is wonderful. I'm so glad that y'all were able to carve out some time to talk to us and share more about this. And just the idea, you make it so easy to come support here because the food is delicious. I know that, coming in here, the atmosphere is just impeccable, and it makes it really easy to come support the good work that y'all are doing here.
It's really inspiring. To me as a pastor, one of my hopes and prayers is that anybody who walks on our campus at our church would feel loved that as a child of God, and that the dignity and worth of every human being, and churches sometimes fail pretty miserably at that. We get into judging others without really seeing who they are and just really accepting them. And this is a way of life for you here. And so I think you have a great model and something that I think you have to offer to the church world to remind us who we really are and what we're supposed to be about. So that to me is a really beautiful gift of this place.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
I feel like I can see some greens coming in back there.
Choppy Mama Farm.
Perfect example. She's got great timing.
That's Miss Kim. She used to work here and she has a farm close by. And so we've got all kinds of good stuff here. Thank you,
Making a cameo appearance.
Yeah. I mean, that looks great. Was there anything else you wanted to share about Café Momentum or about the future?
I mean, for whoever listens to this, we'd appreciate the support. Come out, see our young people. They're wonderful. And I don't just say that because I work with them, but they are wonderful, beautiful human beings that if you just have a couple of hours, get to know them, I'm sure you think the same.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Love that.
We'll be here.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I hope you were impacted by that conversation as much as I was. If you'd like more information on how you can get involved in supporting the mission of Café Momentum, you can find all of that information on our website, fumcr.com/morethansunday. Thank you again for listening to this episode. And as we've learned about building community around food, the More Than Sunday team would like to try our own experiment. We're going to have our very first More Than Sunday podcast meetup at the end of this season on November 20th. If you'd like to be involved, you can let us know that you'd like us to save you a seat by going to the website as well and just letting us know. Thanks again for listening. I hope that you have a great week.